Bienvenue, welcome. I am here. My name is Ottoline, and I am here to talk to you about another book. But before we start the next book, this is a very important book for you to help with your writings. Very important book to help with your writings. There are link is down below. And then we start with our book. Our book for this time is Death in Venice by Thomas Mann. It is our first book from a non-English speaking author. It is Thomas Mann is from Allemande. What is Allemande? Allemand, Germany. Oui, Germany. We will get to Français soon enough. But we start with a writer, a very très important writer from Allemande, Thomas Mann. So, Death in Venice is a very early work by Thomas Mann. It is a very, very short work, very, very short. It is not even a novel. It is a novella. I read it in an evening. It took 2.5 Mahler symphonies to read Death in Venice. Oui, Symphony number 4, Symphony number 5, and half of Symphony number 6. And I had all of Death in Venice read. Oui. So not very long at all. Not very long at all. So, Death in Venice. I think that everybody knows a little bit about Death in Venice. Death in Venice is about Gustav von Achenbach. Try to German accent with French accent. This is not a fun. He is called Gustav Aschenbach. He is a famous writer. He is in his 50s. He has been married, but his wife is dead. He has a daughter, and his daughter is married. So he is more or less alone in the world. He has a townhouse, a winter house in Munich, in Bavaria, and he has a country house in the mountains in Bavaria. So he is a man of wealth, of prestige. He is a highly, highly respected writer. He is so highly respected. His texts are taught in schools. He was ennobled by the new prince. He was made of von Aschenbach instead of just Herr Aschenbach. And so he is a very stable man at the pinnacle of his career. When the book opens, we meet this von Aschenbach, and he is going for a walk in May in Munich. Now, I understand there is a very, very accepted interpretation of this little story. However, I would stress this is a book from Allemande. Books from Allemande, books for German books are never as simple. Never as simple. A ladyship, she talked about Wörter, and Wörter is certainly not as simple as it just look on the page. That is a big, big mistake that English readers make when they engage with German novels. German things are never as simple as they appear. So, while I respect the traditional interpretation of Thomas Mann and understands that for many, many, many years, such an interpretation was very important for certain communities, and that this made people feel seen. And I am not going to be talking about Death in Venice in this way. So that is the first thing I will bring to this discussion, because I do not feel that that was what was most interesting for me reading it a second time. I read it last night, so I read it 20 years ago. So I read Death in Venice 20 years ago, and I found that I read it with a very superficial understanding. It was Death in Venice. This is the story of obsession of the writer with the pretty boy, and the degradation that he suffers as a result. That is a perfectly acceptable reading of this novel. Novella, really, it is not a novel. It is too small. It is 30 pages. It is tiny. So, that is the traditional interpretation. However, reading it again last night, I have a different interpretation for vous. So, at the beginning of the novel, Gustav von Aschenbach goes for walk. He goes for walk in May. He goes for walk in Munich in May. It's a lovely day, and he pauses in his walk outside Byzantine mausoleum. Pourquoi? Why there is a Byzantine mausoleum in Munich, I do not know. Mais nothing, when the book is this tiny, much like poetry, nothing is there by accident. Nothing is there by accident. Outside the mausoleum, he witnessed a golden man. He does not see him enter, and he does not see him leave. He is a man with red hair and a golden suit and a crook and a snubby nose and no beard, and a young enigmatic man. He has a look on a snarl on his face as he is being observed by Monsieur von Aschenbach. Apologies. Herr von Aschenbach. And Aschenbach suddenly out of nowhere gets the urge to travel, something that he has never wished to do. So, I have a theory of who this golden man is, and we will tease this out. But all of a sudden, Gustav Aschenbach has a will to travel, and so he does. He plays preparation, and he first travels to a place in the Adriatic, a small island, but it is too provincial, it is too bourgeois, and quickly he changes his plans, and he decides, I know where I need to go. I need to go to Venice. Venice, the beautiful, glittering, decadent, mercantile capital of ancient Europe. Absolutely beautiful, but not quite what it seems. Eh? Venice is never what it seems. Venice is a very tricksy city. It is not what it appears to be. So Venice is a très tricksy city, and it would become clear what why we end up in Venice. We could end up anywhere at all. May we end up in Venice? Très beautiful, très belle, a very tricksy city. So he go to Venice. And on the ship, he see a very tricksy sort of person. He see an old man who turn up like he is young and mingling with the young men. And he finds this very disturbing. Very disturbing. He does not like it, and he is disturbed by this. He does not know why. He is disturbed by things far more than it is warranted. When he arrives in Venice, he gets into gondola. Gondola is described as black as a coffin. And again, the gondolier, he is going across to Lido because he wants to be by the sea, not in the city itself. And the gondolier is again a very strange man with the rouge hairs and the broad-brimmed hat and the snubby nose, much like the man at the beginning, with the broad hat and the cook and the gold suit and the snubby nose, the young man. And this man rose him against his will. He did not want to have to be rowed all the way across, but he is forced. He is forced to be rowed by the gondolier across to Lido. The gondolier disappears without payment. It is explained that he is a unlicensed gondolier, and he will not. He knew that the police were after him, and he just vamos. Mais this is the second appearance, and now the Gustav Aschenbach has been rowed across. There are multiple signs that his fate is fated. Where does one get rowed but across the river Styx when one dies? And who is the one who takes the dead to the ferryman? None other than the god Hermes, who is the guide of the dead to make sure that they don't get lost on their travels. Death is not at the end of this book. Death is all the way through. This is not a book that is about one death. This is death in Venice. Hermes in Venice. Because Hermes is also a god. He is a messenger, oui, but he is a god of travel. He is a guide for the dead. He is a mercantile god. And Venice is mercantile. He is a tricksy god. And Venice, as you will see, is a tricksy city. In the l'hôtel, von Aschenbach sees a Polish family who is unremarkable except for the very, very pretty son. The very, very pretty son who is described in godlike terms. Now, I have seen 14-year-old boys. I have never ever seen a 14-year-old boy who matches the description in this book, because it is no way. They are dirty and smelly and stinky and yuck. So I do not. There is no 14-year-old boy who resembles the one in this book. So he sees this boy. But as he has had problems in Venice before, he finds that it smell, the air is not wholesome. It smells like the swamp that it is. Venice, glittering, beautiful, is built on a swamp. And so he goes to leave. He goes to leave. He is disappointed. He knows that if he leaves now, he will never ever return to Venice. But he's really worried that this will have a bad impact on his health. However, as he is going to leave, he discovers his trunk, which he has sent before him, is being sent somewhere else. Very tricksy, because this God does not want him to go. This God does not want him gone. He is supposed to stay here. Having got him here, he is going to stay here. So, he returned to the hotel, and again, and wait, and stays on, and finds himself quite infatuated with this pretty boy. But the pretty boy is not necessarily as pretty as we are led to believe. He is small and sickly looking. He is pale. He is spending all day in the sunshine on the beach, and yet is still as pale as milk. Is this really a boy, or is this a god in disguise? Is this a death? This beautiful death, pale death. This is not necessarily exactly what the boy is. So he becomes obsessed, but this could be very much a kindly death for the old man. Nothing too shocking. Just keep you in place. Hermes is a beautiful boy himself, quite capable of dazzling the eyes of his victims if he wish. And so Aschenbach stays in Venice. He never speaks, never once speaks to the boy, never has any real communication with the boy, with his family, nothing. He watches, he looks, he is granted occasionally a smile or a glance. And then the third time, this snub-nosed, hatted figure appears. Venice has been being disinfected. There is cholera. And I do not want to tell the tourists, because it will frighten them and they will flee, and then nobody gets any money, and money is the king. And what else is king? Well, as the chaos of the illness floating through the city, invisible illness in the city, people are the corruption. The corruption is a form of thievery. Thievery is and crime is a trait of the god Hermes. Corruption is rife in lying to the peoples about the illness. Crime is becoming rampant, using the chaos of the illness as a cover. Hermes appears for his third time, or at least this red-head man with a snub nose. Why is there a red-head man who does not look like any of the other Venetians there, with a hat? And he assures Herr Aschenbach that he should stay where he is, that there is no contagion in the city. Aschenbach, of course, stays on. He is helpless. He is sedated by this passion, this obsession. But it is not an erotic passion. It is a ascetic passion. It is a passion for what has been lost to him. By is described as being like this, like held rigid all his life, and that he has never just been relaxed, and he is seduced into relaxation, into a life that he rejected so that he could be this and succeed. Whereas, but Italy or perhaps France could such a rigid Allemand do this. Anyway, at the very end, having painted his face to appear more attractive, dyed his hair, he is sitting on the beach, and he sees again one last time, because they are going to leave, because there is no need to stay any longer. The old man doesn't have until after lunch to leave. He sees again the pretty boy. He sees again the pretty boy, and this time as he is looking, he sees the pretty boy turn and reach out. Il est mort. Il est mort. He is dead. The boy is dead. The beau garçon is dead. Not a figure of desire. He is a beautiful face of death. It is Hermes. And he takes the old man. The old man is found dead on the beach, or unconscious, taken back to his room, and he dies. This boy is not Eros. This boy is Hermes. Both are beautiful. And thus it is easy for the old man to confuse them. But there are so many other signs through the book. If you start with the premise that this is it is in the title, Death in Venice. If you come with the idea that we are looking for death, then suddenly we are looking at a very different God, and the different God has all his telltale signs and symbols everywhere across Venice. So that is how I see Death in Venice from this second reading. It is an interpretation. It is a très important book. Thomas Mann is a très important German writer. However, I do not think I will be reading more Thomas Mann. I have so many books to do. But that is Death in Venice. And so I will see you again with another book later on. So au revoir, bonne chance with your reading, and I will see you another time.
If you would like to support this channel, come across to the Black Cockie Press website, www.blackcockiepress.com.au, where you will find books and other materials to help with your writing.